right, welcome back. And we are here for the part two, the conclusion of our two-shot of Trophy Dark, The Spiral by Jesse Ross. All right. We unfortunately are missing our player Agatha this evening, but we will continue onward and see how ruined everybody else gets. Um, Loraire, though, will be present, but not as present as if they were being played. Okay? So, when last we left off, as far as I can recall and remember from a sketchy rewatch, um, we have Aram outside or inside the blacksmith shop contemplating the thing that he got from a cage. And then we have Vero lost with Loraire entwined on his back, lost in a maze. And we have Serge, who somehow ended up in a tunnel and has now proceeded to a different ring than everybody else. So, we'll see. Yes, and not maybe by himself. There was a distinct roar heard last time that we were here. But we'll see what happens. I mean, not all hope has been lost yet. So let's rejoin our players for this incursion. All right. I'm going to start with the players that are still in Ring 3. Okay. So Vero, you have Loraire on your back, basically hugging you, entwining themselves, to hold on to you for dear life, as if desperation or perhaps for other reasons that they decided to tag along. And your maze ritual went a little awry. You were expecting it to, I guess, give you more paths when you found yourself being pulled out of the blacksmith shop and into, I'm going to say, a different tunnel altogether. And I think you find yourself back somehow at the end of the maze, looking at a door. And
So,
Loraire is... Yeah, go ahead.
first off, Vero is going to be very adamant that Loraire's let go, because this is very improper to, and also Loraire's a grown person and very heavy because they're a fully grown person. Try to separate from Loraire,
And I think...
or,
Yeah, I think
or at
Loraire
least have
is...
Loraire put their feet on the ground and walk on their own at the minimum.
And Loraire just says in your ear, "But I'm so I'm so frightened. I I don't know how I ended up here. I decided that, I needed to stick with you and stick with you close to make sure that I was always going to be with someone and not separated."
I I understand your words. It's your execution that's the issue. You're going to have to stand up. First off, I cannot carry you around.
You still can't see their face, but I think that in your ear, as they are putting their weight from you onto the ground next to you,
Mm-hmm.
or behind you, I think you'll hear, "Fine," almost like a hiss, and you feel a
Uh,
flick by your ear, as if maybe they have a forked tongue.
Oh,
No,
well, then Vero would do what any normal person would do that just felt like a person tongue flick on them. He's going to like move away and it's like, I'm going through this door now and try to put distance between himself and like, why are we working together? He's thinking in his mind, like, how did we end up here at the same time?
as you approach the door, as you approach the door, Vero, you see that it has the splashed mark on it.
Crap. Um, well, looking around, I assume I don't see any other way to go but forward. So whatever
Your
reservations.
yeah, your I'm gonna say that your the metal tendrils that had drawn you into the middle of this maze, like, are creating this cage around you, and the only way out leads into the door.
Okay, well, in efforts to try to separate from them and put distance between them, because this is quite awkward, and so he just goes through the door
Okay. I think as you
without
shake,
any hesitation, which he
sure,
should have. Sorry.
no problem. I think though, as you shake Loraire off, again, they're still behind you, but you
Mm-hmm.
shake them off. I think you somehow get tangled up a little bit um, in their bag, which they had, and you see that like it's dumped onto the ground next to you, like, kind of like next to you and in front of you, as you're trying
Mm-hmm.
to go to the door, and you notice that the body part candle that Loraire had taken from the governor's collection. I have to ask you, as you go towards the door, why do you now want it?
Not so much that I wanted, but now I'm concerned that whatever is causing Loraire to act the way they are might be related to this thing. So more. It's more I'm taking it away from them, hoping that whatever it is that causing them to behave so inappropriately will fade with this whatever dark magic is in this candle.
As you touch it, a thought springs to your mind. This has something to do with the traveling ritual tied to the mark on the doors. You remember what Aram had said along what seems to be a while back, but yeah. How do you believe this candle is connected to the traveling ritual?
Hmm. I think maybe this candle was part of the actual spell that created the ritual in the first place, and possibly is a component with which the traveling spell is initiated.
Do you keep the candle?
As I pocket the candle and I have placed my hand on the hilt of my dagger because I am now more concerned about that Laurel may be may be possessed by something or influenced by something, and I am more guarded of them, especially after finding this. I will say something like, why do you have this?
Do you turn around to look for them?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yes. There's no. It's like if you, I want to look them in the eyes so I can tell if they're telling me the truth or not.
When you look back, you see only shadow, as if the cage from your metal maze has started to close in, and you hear Loraire still, but they're like calling from the shadows as if they got behind the bars of the cage somehow, and you hear the whispers in the shadows. I kept it from you because you were going to use it against the king.
Why would what what nonsense are you speaking? And where are you? I draw the dagger at this point because I assume that the voice I'm hearing is not the Loraire that I've been hearing up until this point. And now I'm like, maybe I've taken this away from them too late. And I'm looking around the shadows, like almost like afraid that they're gonna lunge at me or something from the darkness. Like it's a very uncomfortable situation suddenly hearing them talk about some king. What do you mean use it against a king? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Out of character, I'm just going to remind you, is this kind of starting to call to your drive.
Oh
But I'm
yeah,
going to,
yeah, I get that, but he never mentioned that to Loraire, so he's not going around like, yes, I plot to bring down the king. No, no, he's not. But I get this is like, yes, I'm here to find something to use against kings, but I never said that out loud.
do you, do you head towards the door as you are looking around for Loraire?
Yeah, at this point, I'm backing towards the door.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm now more concerned about what's behind me than what's through that door, which is probably not a good idea. But I know there's L'Oreal's acting threatening right now, and there could be something threatening through the door. So, and I will back my way through that door.
As you do that, I'm going to head over to Aram. Aram, you are still at the blacksmith shop, and I think that you will. I think that you will see as you were perusing the cages, and then you were grabbing that dead creature thing that's about the size of an arm, and hiding it away. Do you put it in a Do you have a pocket? Do you have like a bag? What do you put this thing in?
Yeah, I think it's I have a small bag that doesn't have anything in it. Right, was kind of secreted in a little pouch, but I think I pull out the bag to small bag and unfold it and put it in there.
Okay. Yeah, I think as you finish doing this, I think you've made your way back into the shop as if you were going to grab, like, like you were trying to hide away and not let the Kingsguard see you do this. And I think when you look back outside, you'll see Marsham, the Inquisitor who had, um, you know, brought you guys in um, through Vero. He is now paraded outside by the Inquisitors, and they're proclaiming Yeah, here's the one. Here's the one that's been allowing criminals into the governor's keep. He's admitted his guilt in the theft of sensitive artifacts. And then as you're listening, you hear him rattle off some of the things. And one of them, of course, is the eggshell that you pocketed. And Aram doesn't know this, but if everybody else was there, they would hear their items that they had pocketed as well. And this is when they will lead poor Marsham to a particular trundle of set wood and then tie him to a post. And we're just going to leave it there for right now. You have the choice of leaving this shop back through the tunnel, or trying your luck, trying to get past the King's Guard, the Inquisitors, excuse me, outside, and seeing where you can go. What do you do?
When Aram looks outside and kind of, gazes around, I mean, this has all been very odd getting to the blacksmith shop this way. But does the area outside kind of seem normal? I mean, does it seem like I'm still in Alice in Wonderland, or does it seem like I'm this seems like it's the actual, is it a street out there, and does it have that kind of quality to it?
You recognize some places, but I'm gonna say that having breathed in a little bit of that weird air in the tunnel initially affected your vision. You start to notice that you are no longer seeing normally. I think you'll start to notice that as you're listening to this, and then the Inquisitors are starting to light fires, that the fire starts to take on this weird glow. And they start to take on a weird glow, as if you are no longer able to see them distinctly, even through the darkness, but almost as if you're seeing them more like thermal imaging.
Yeah, Aram, I think, shakes his head and says that says to himself that this air in the blacksmith shop is messing with my mind. I need to get out into some fresh air. And I think for him that means it's not back, right? That's
Right.
I think he's gonna just try to be as discreet as possible
Mm-hmm.
and kind of get out into the the street and try to kind of get to some fresher air to see if that'll clear things up for him.
Sure. And I think as you make it out into the street, like maybe you edge out of the shop, and then you kind of like try to stick to as many shadows as you possibly can away from these now glowing figures, because
Mhm.
of their heat. Um, I think you notice like because that vision kind of goes in and out. Maybe it goes back and forth between normal and then like the thermal vision. But you notice a scrawny figure wrapped in a dirty cloak, skulking away in the shadows from where you are. And you can see that they're hunching over what looks like a cellar entrance, like one of those like ones that are like at an angle, and then like you can just see them go into it. And they're literally pulling on the cellar door, lifting it up, and then they're just ducking down inside, like as if they're jumping down. Do you follow? you investigate?
Yeah, I think I mean I look around first and I'm looking for other possible ways of getting by, but does this seem like reasonably like the quickest way
It's
out of
close. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
close because otherwise that like, it's kind of like blacksmith shop and then this big square,
Mhm.
like that would be out in the open, you know.
Right.
So this
Yeah,
this
yeah,
person going down into the cellar door is like the quickest way out.
yeah, yeah. So I do that. I do before fully committing myself. I do do a quick little look at that door to see if I see a spiral on it or not.
You do. You do. But they did happen to leave some strange ritual implements that you recognize. What are they?
Oh, you mean this figure that
Mm-hmm.
went down?
Yeah, like as you approach the door, you see the mark, but then you look down at the ground in front of the cellar entrance. You do see some strange ritual implements. What did they leave?
Um, I think they leave a stylus, such as what would make this mark, but it's I mean it looks the stylus when I look at it, it seems to be actually some piece of charred bone, right? But that kind of it's charred, and this kind of charcoal, right, comes off and is kind of used as the and it's sharpened at one end, so it's been fabricated in some way to make it a writing instrument of sorts. Yes.
What insight does this give you into the traveling ritual? This ritual that, having seen the first mark, gave you ideas, made you realize that it has something to do with being able to go anywhere, any place, just by doing this.
I think Aram thinks this is a hypothesis. I mean, the fact that it's bone with the stylus and that's making this mark, that perhaps the the places you travel to would be the same places that this person or whatever it was that is now this bone stylus where they had been, that somehow the traveling ritual, right, is tied to the places of um whoever or whatever this bone is uh used to be part of.
So you, well, I mean, having examined this, how do you think performing the ritual, or possibly capturing or finding this figure that dipped down through the door, will help you achieve your drive? You want to rebuild Hisham's fountain.
Mhm.
How? How will this help you?
Well, I mean, if I could master the ritual, but if I could master it using a charred bone from someone I know, and I know the places that that person has been, right? That would be perfect, right? I could travel to those places easily to gather the materials I would need to rebuild the fountain.
Perfect. All right. Do you open the door and go in?
I think I do, and I take the stylus with me.
Okay. And I will go over to Serge. Serge, you heard the roar. The walls are shimmering. They briefly flash between glistening violet muscles and black stone-like scales. It's like it's undulating in this tunnel between being inside and outside itself. It's like the tunnel can't decide whether it's the interior or the exterior of something massive. Do you go forward or back?
Going back would just keep me in this confusing loop. I could go wind up anywhere. So I think at this point, we just gotta go forward.
I think moving forward, though, you see through one undulation of the violet muscles, you start to see a door. And then when it undulates again, you see the scales and it reveals another door. And you see as this rhythm starts forming a pattern, each time it moves, it reveals another door. These doors are many within this tunnel moving forward. And I think you suspect that each door shows a step in the process of this ritual that Aram spoke of, maybe. How does a door, the doors that you pass, the doors that you see, how do they reveal what may be within?
I think if you only see the spiral once or twice, you don't see it enough to get a pattern. But if you see enough of these doors, you start to see that what might first appear to be flaws of hand-drawn scribblings are actually deliberate, well, they're not flaws at that point. They're deliberate minor shifts or alterations in the pattern. A straight segment in one part of one coil here, or even a crosshatch that might first look like just ordinary wear on a door there. When they are complete, they are possibly a perfect spiral, or alternatively, they are the version that is nothing but the flaws. But you have to look at the cohesive whole to understand all of them together, what any individual one means.
Do you do anything more than just look at the different patterns on each door?
Oh no, I'm gonna try and learn what the doors have to teach me.
Okay.
If there's something to be learned here about how to actually get to the door or doors that I want to get to, and instead of just roaming about randomly, yeah, that's my way out.
Do you open any of these doors?
Yes. At some point I have to figure out like what exactly they go to. I think I start opening all of them once I realize that there is in fact a possible method to this madness. Then yes, I think I start opening doors, not going through them, but just like kind of peeking through, maybe listening at one or two um before I open them up and try to see where what's on the far side of any of them. I'll start looking through all of them, all the doors.
Well, let's find out what's in one or two first. What does the first door's sign or pattern or mark look like? And what kind of hoard do you see inside?
I think this is one of the ones with a hatch mark on the very bottom of the outermost coil. And on the inside is the inside of a bank vault.
What kind of hoard is here?
Whatever Amberette, the city of Amberette, has the equivalent of Fort Knox, a bunch of not necessarily, I don't think they would do gold bullion, but a bunch of gilded picture frames, golden cups, anything encrusted with jewels, a sword that's ceremonial, and has rubies in its pommel, things of that nature.
I think as you look, and you said you're not going in, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I think as you look upon it, I think you begin to see that the hoard somehow is growing bigger. Like the initial pile that you saw seems to be multiplying and making its way towards the door as it's undulating waves of these riches slowly coming towards you, slowly coming towards the open door.
Oh yeah, we're gonna close that and move on to the next one real fast.
What's the next door? What's the next door's mark look like? And what kind of hoard do you find inside?
The next door, still technically a spiral, but all of the shifts in direction. Sorry, not shifts in direction. It's all straight. So right angles, or maybe not even right angles, but there's no curvature to the spiral itself. It's straight edge, angle, straight edge, angle, straight edge, angle, straight edge, angle until a spiral is formed. On the inside of it is a private art collection, portraits, landscapes, different painting styles, different painters throughout the history of the Calder. And if it is a hoard, then I think possibly there are even some paintings just like boop popped on the ground.
I was going to ask if they were piled together or are they neatly on the walls?
A little bit of it probably started out as like a very fine presentation, and then any recent additions that may have been made to the hoard are just like haphazardly just like dumped on the ground. They tried to keep it clean for a while. Like there are paintings that aren't hung but are like leaning against the wall down a little bit lower than the others, but then after a while even that pretense got dropped and there's just paintings on the ground.
I'm going to say, as far as like, looking in, you see that this like partially on the wall started off as a nice presentation, and then you start to see, some of them stacked against the wall, and then like, starting to be on like just kind of laid out on the floor. You start hearing pops. And what the pops mean are that there are more pictures, maybe not as big as the original ones that you first glanced at, but then like maybe tiny ones or big ones. And then they're starting to fill in some of these empty spaces within this particular room. And then you start seeing like, visibly pop into view, like starting to create like again another type of wave onto the floor, as if the pictures are making their way to you.
I'm mystified. I almost just want to see what happens if they reach. Yeah, let's do horror movie logic. Let's like reach out and as one of them gets close enough, we're gonna try and keep close to the door, but we're gonna as it gets close enough, the one of the picture frames, we're going to just like reach out and touch it and just see like what it wants.
I think as it makes its way to you, you're going to realize that what you picked up was actually a duotic. And what it shows you on one side is Aram opening up the cellar door and starting to go in. And then the other side is Vero opening up a door similarly marked behind him into darkness. That's what you see. And I'm going to say now remember, you still have Ruin 5.
Yeah.
You can choose to do some kind of reduction roll and serve the forest, serve the spiral, and do some kind of action to betray your companions, to reduce your ruin.
I want to change the pattern on the doors in their images. Just slightly. Alter a curve here or there. I might have to do that with a fingernail, or maybe I have some chalk in my backpack.
I think you'll have to close the door to do that if you're going to do it.
Can I take the painting with me back into the snaky area?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. I'll take it with me. In fact, I might even try and use some of these other doorways for inspiration.
Could do that for sure. And actually, the correct term that I was supposed to use was diptych, not duotic, but same idea. So, yeah. So let's have you do a reduction roll.
Okay.
Let me get back into the dice roller. All right. So go ahead and again hit reduction and then roll.
So 3 is what I'm looking at.
Aha. All right, so yeah, if it's less than your current ruin, your betrayal goes unnoticed and you decrease your ruin by 1. So you are back down to a safer 4. So. Tell me what this looks like. What I mean, do you mark on the picture itself, or are you marking on the on maybe one of the doors?
I think so. I get the sense that this picture is magical, or it's showing me something very real. So just again on a little bit of if this then that logic, um if it's showing me something real, then maybe I can alter it and it will be real in their world. And so I think Serge does in fact pull out um a piece of chalk.
Mhm.
Maybe something that he uses in one of his rituals, or just as an uninspired artisan he has.
Let me just make a mention of two things. In Vero's side of the diptych, you can clearly see the mark, like on the door behind him,
Hmm.
and on like when you pull out your piece of chalk, one of the things that you'll notice is that the ichor from the eggshell that you had gotten from or the Fabergé egg that you had got, the
Oh,
Fabergé type egg that you had gotten, had started to leak out some of that weird ichor, and it is now on the chalk that you're using.
then absolutely that's going to be what we use to, and we just, like I said, we change a curve to a slight angle, or we add a hatch mark somewhere on the the spiral, something that, slightly alters the door that they had come in on.
Do you make the marks the same on both their doors, or do you make them different?
I think different.
Okay. Okay. Fun, fun, fun. All right, great. Um, yeah. So you have marked up their picture, and I think as both of you go into your respective doors, you don't see the change in the mark to what Serge had done. Okay. So,
And then I'd like to just like take this painting off of its frame, fold it up a little bit, and just keep it with me. I'm going to check in on them every once in a while.
hmm, interesting. I think as you're taking it out of the frame and you're folding it up, I think you'll notice that it's moving, but you can't quite tell in the dim lighting of this hallway of doors whether it's you folding it up that's making them move, or maybe they're moving on their own, just giving you a view into what they're doing.
Fantastic.
Yes. So I'm going to. Brain does not want to work. Yes. Let's go into. I'm going to introduce the next part of ring. Let's see. All right. Let's just say that you two have moved out of ring 3. All right. And Serge is remaining in ring 4. Let's see where you two move into. Different. Vero, I'm going to say that backing into the tunnel brings you into something that's dimly lit. And you see the obsidian of something that's kind of covered over in fog, as if like the black walls are smoking, but not from heat. It's just like wisps of smoke seem to cling to their edges. They're kind of like angular and scaly, maybe. And you can see into the room, the maze that you were originally in. It's not moving, but you can hear Loraire's voice kind of calling out to you from the darkness. Wait! Don't leave me! I have to come with you! Don't don't do this! Don't leave me here!
I close the door. And I'm gonna look at this other side of the door and see if the spiral's here or is this another blank side and there's a tunnel I need to walk through.
That's a very good question. Huh. I think this is where you will see. Well, let me ask you this. So you close the door and you
Mm-hmm.
continue to look at the door, or are you looking?
No, I turn to. I've never stopped facing in the
Okay.
direction of Loraire. I
Okay.
backed, opened the door,
Right.
stepped back through,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
went.
Okay. Got it. Okay. I think in this sense, then, that you will see the mark, but it is not the mark that you saw when you initially opened the door. Like it's a different mark, possibly the mark that Serge put on it, but you don't know that.
I don't think Vero would notice it
Right.
because the first thing he does after he goes through that door and closes it,
Mm-hmm.
he scratches it. He starts scratching it off with his dagger because he does not want Loraire to follow him.
Interesting. Please give me a ruin roll.
Okay.
Yeah, just hit ruin and then roll.
It's great. Accidentally performing magic. 2.
Oh man. Okay. All right. So it does not go up. You keep it together.
Fortunately,
Yeah.
I feel a lot better now that Symbol's not there anymore.
Maybe that's what
Or
maybe that's what's keeping you together is the fact that it's like, it gives you a sense of relief rather
mm-hmm,
than, oh my God, this is like ramping up. So
mm-hmm.
that's kind of cool. But now that you've scratched out the marking on the door, what do you do?
So now I turn around and notice all those things you described.
Yes. So the obsidian is like smoking or having
Right?
wisps of
Yeah.
smoke clinging to it. Yes, exactly.
So like, now I get to regret my decision after the
Hey,
fact.
oh, regret.
I'm
Regret.
sure there's other doors. I just simply need to track them down.
Yes. Well, in this case, I mean, like at the other end of this little tunnel that seems to shift,
Mm-hmm.
there is a door at the end of the tunnel. It is not a very long tunnel. You can see the door ahead of you. Maybe there's a slight glow behind it, or like, in its frame.
Okay. And this tunnel doesn't feel like I'm inside of something's stomach like it did in the previous one where it felt like it was acid. This one
Right.
feels like there's some sort of scaly skin that has
Mm-hmm.
smoke coming off of it.
Sure.
Does the
Yes.
smoke seem like moisture, like water, or is it something else? Is it steam or is it actual smoke?
Hmm.
Like, because I figure if it were smoke, I would be coughing. So if am I coughing or not coughing?
I want to say it's something like. I mean, I'm going to use a modern reference just because I don't really have anything like else in my head. Like how like they have those humidifiers, you
Hmm.
know, and like you can put like different like
Okay,
vapors in it and stuff like that.
it,
Like so,
it's
like
vapor, but it's not water vapor.
right, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah, but there
but it's
has
not.
it's a particular smell though. What do you think you're smelling?
Well, it's definitely not acid. I don't think.
Mm-mm,
I'm not
no.
coughing, so probably not like burning. Um, I don't. I was like as much time as I spent in the woods and around animals and various things. I don't think I recognize it. It doesn't smell like any plant or animal I've ever encountered. but it has, it's like a weird combination of somehow being acrid and kind of sweet smelling at the same time, but it's nothing I can readily identify. Um, it's whatever the smell is, it's unsettling, but it's also calming. It's like I should be like I think I should have been freaking out from all of this, but I don't feel that way. It's like I knowingly in my mind I know I should be panicking right now, but I don't feel like I am or to me.
I think as you're thinking this, or feeling this, smelling this, you are wearing a duster like you are in your picture.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think even with the duster on and your, clothing and your armor, whatever you have on, I think you suddenly feel like it's very difficult to stay warm. You start to feel shivers go up and down your back, as if the cold, even though you didn't feel cold before, but cold is seeping into your bones. And I'm going to flip over to Aram. Aram, you're going down. Like the tunnel that you're in is dark and you're sloping downward. Do you have any kind of light source? Like a torch or something that you can use to see?
I think he probably has a small, um, like a very small lantern. It doesn't put out that much light, but at least it's compact and portable. So it doesn't put out much light, but enough light to at least be able to see a little ways around.
I think in this particular tunnel, you see some of that ichor that you saw back in the governor's mansion, keep, that was dripping from the eggs. I think you see it like somewhat splattered on these walls that look like they're made of some kind of muscular tissue. And then it's like spread out on the ground. And there's almost a trail, but you're not quite sure. I mean, like, again, it's dim light, what have you. I think if you follow the tunnel down, I think you'll see at regular intervals, like you'll start seeing like a barrel or two filled with something in it. They are open. Do you look inside?
Um, yeah, I think he'll start by taking a quick peek in.
If you hold the lantern light up, you can see that this liquid is clear and smells, well, I think in your travels and your rituals, I think you recognize like some caustic substances. And in this clear liquid in the barrel, you'll see what looks like a large egg-shaped object floating right in the middle of it. What do you do?
Does so the object, is it like one of the Fabergé eggs, or is it just I mean, can I get a
You
clear
can't
sense?
quite tell. You just see this again, clear liquid, and it's like the large egg-like object is suspended in it. It
Hmm.
doesn't look like it's jeweled, but it's again strangely suspended in this fluid.
And it's down. It's
Yeah,
not bobbing.
it's not bobbing. It's like, down underneath the surface of it. You can't quite tell how far.
Um, I think um I mean, Aram has something that I think could reach down there. I'm not going to reach in there with my own arm, but I have something that's the length of an arm in my bag.
Okay.
So I think he takes out that dead thing, whatever it is,
Hmm.
um, probably kind of measures it, or eyeballs it, right? In terms of like, does it seem like it might be long enough to prod that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I think,
Just enough to be able to do it, and it's like of a solidity that you could scoop, push or
yeah,
scoop it up,
or
if you
prod
wanted to.
it
Yeah,
around a little
sure.
bit. Yeah, move it
Yeah,
up to the surface. Yeah. So that's what he'll do. He'll take that, and he's going to be careful not, since it seems caustic, not to um touch it himself, right? Not to touch the. He probably actually even puts like something around, like a cloth around his own hand, to make sure that he's not going to get, you know, uh he doesn't want to get splattered, or have his own body parts go in there.
sure. So I'm gonna say that this requires a risk roll, and of course, let's see. You have to get to get a light die. It would require a skill or something of your occupation, your background, and such to use. Definitely dark die because you're risking your body. You don't know what effect this is going to have just in case something goes wrong. So, parlay. What do you think works here to apply towards a light die, or maybe you don't get a light die? Depends.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't see anything. I mean, this doesn't seem like a strength thing.
Right.
um yeah, saints, rituals, interrogation. I don't really know that anything uh directly applies.
Okay. So, in which case, we can always add. Well, first let's think about what could go wrong. Put it on the table. uh, One of the things that could go wrong is that this stuff is caustic enough, and you do manage to have to go a little bit too far, and you burn yourself on it. Not sure how much yet, but I mean, like, that'll definitely go wrong. Anybody have any other suggestions? How else can it go wrong?
I
I
mean,
think.
I'll
Okay.
go.
No, go ahead.
I was without like introducing new lore, like, oh, it's sentient and it's gonna reach up and grab you. Then yeah, I think the easy one is the obvious one, is just you lose your footing and fall in.
Oh well, mine wasn't nearly as bad. Now I feel like I have to rethink, because I was just going to say that it's going to get onto like your clothes or something else valuable and destroy it.
That's still valid. That's still awesome. So those are the things that could go wrong if you roll badly. Okay. So to get a light die, since we can't really figure out like any of your other skills and such to get the first light die, let's get a light die from doing a devil's bargain. No matter what. Anybody?
Just to put one on the table, no matter what, some of it's going to get on you somehow.
Yes.
I just think, yeah, that was going to be like something more specific, that it's some sort of pheromone, so it may not damage anything, but it leaves a scent that may attract something.
Interesting. I think no matter what, I think getting this stuff on you is going to cause some sort of allergic reaction to it, which will affect your which will affect I think yeah, I think there's going to be like an interesting little side effect with this. So I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet. Depends on what happens. Let's just say that like if you get emotional or something, you feel something, you're probably going to experience some sort of weird body reaction. No matter what, if that's what you want to take, which you don't have to. Again, you don't have to take any devil's bargain whatsoever. It just means that you're going to be rolling with one dark die.
Yeah, I probably want to take one of them. Rolling with one dark die is probably not the best thing. I'll go with the bargain that it is gonna, who knows how long, leave the scent on me. There's gonna be some kind of notable scent. Maybe it doesn't even get on me. Maybe it's just like the it's kind of like if you're around smoke, you smell like, right, the stuff in the environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So risk roll, one light, one dark, please.
All right. So risk one light, one dark.
Okay. You rolled a 4 lights. That's, you can conceivably add a dark die and then re-roll. So you'd be rolling 1 light, 2 dark, if you want. Or you can stick with a 4.
Yeah,
Depends on what
I think sticking with the 4 is it seems okay.
Okay. You succeed, but there is a complication. All right. So tell me what this looks like if you are going to use that arm thingy to push or prod this egg-shaped thing out of the barrel.
Yeah, I think it's tricky. I mean, and I think, yeah, it takes a little bit of time, and it's kind of like a combination of, stirring a little bit to just get some movement of that and prodding it. And it's much more laborious than what I had hoped this would be. And also, Aram is really trying not to come into contact with that substance, but as he's doing it, there's this smell that's coming out of it.
Sure.
But finally, I think he just manages to get that thing to the surface, and then is able to kind of lever it out with that arm.
I'm gonna say that your complication is that when you lever it out, you accidentally push it or pull, maneuver it a little bit too hard, and it drops onto the ground of this tunnel, and it breaks. When it breaks, you realize that the shell is kind of leathery, soft, but fragile. And it breaks open, and you see seated or laying in this cloudy, viscous slime, not too much unlike the ichor that's smeared on these walls. You see what looks like a pale, half-formed serpentine creature. And you realize that as you watch, there's things that look like an eye, look like eyes, and one of the eyes opens up and blinks at you. And we're gonna take our first break. So, 10 minutes, back at the 55 mark. All right. All right. So before we get further in, I'm going to give everybody a condition because I tend to be slow in giving conditions when I know that's what's happening. Vero, your condition is bone chill. Aram, your condition is thermal sight. And Serge, you are seeing designs. So there's a condition section underneath your your ruin. So you go ahead and put those in the character keeper. All right. And they don't have any mechanical effect per se, but I mean it's to give some fictional positioning as to what's happening with you all as you go deeper into this this incursion. Okay. All right, Aram. Having seen this very strange sight, can you please make a ruin roll?
Okay, let me go over to the dice roller here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not less than 3, so you're keeping it together. What are you thinking about to not let the sight of this thing in front of you bother you that much?
Well, uh, Aram is I mean I think Aram is thinking of it as an animal and is like, well, this is a strange beast, but I've encountered strange animals before. And plus it's newly out of the egg, so what what harm could it do?
As you say that, though, I think whatever scent that you got from sloshing this stuff around to try and get at the egg in the first place, I think as it opens its eyes and it will slowly make its way out of the egg and start to move towards you as if it's scenting you. Like it's like there's a forked tongue, very delicate forked tongue that starts to come out of its mouth and start to like reach out towards you as if it scents you.
I think what Aram will do at this point is a ritual.
Hmm. Okay.
I think what he'd like to do is to compel this creature.
Mm. To
Um,
do what?
to allow me to safely carry it without it attacking me.
Hmm. I'm gonna say that's not gonna be a problem. So, in this case, you don't have to do a ritual per se for it. I think, again, it scented you, and like it's not hostile. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, like, yeah, what do you do? Do you just pick it up, or do you kind of let it like slither towards you? What do you do?
I probably do like when you encounter like a new cat or dog, you kind of like, okay, it doesn't seem really hostile, but let me, uh be kind of careful and kind of letting it smell my hand, and then if it stays so it doesn't seem like it's going to be attacking me, I think he leans down and scoops it up. Probably initially making sure to retain one hand kind of on around the head area,
Mhm.
just to make sure that it's okay. But I think he'll, try to secure it like that and then proceed down the tunnel.
I think as you secure its head with one hand, I think it's as if the rest of its body is following its own thing. So the head is fine, and then the little delicate forked tongue will almost like lick you, you know,
Uh-huh.
and then the rest of the body just wraps itself around your arm as if it's a bracelet. So now you have a friend. I mean, doesn't seem to be doing anything. It's not trying to bite you or
Okay.
anything. It's just like it's
Okay.
licking your thumb. I guess it's licking your thumb because that's the closest thing
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's near it. And yeah, it's like it's wrapped itself around you, or your arm at least, your forearm.
Yeah, and I think Aram is. I mean, he's encountered snakes before. I don't. Um, he realizes some snakes can be poisonous and dangerous, but um, you know, just because it's a snake doesn't. That's what he's trying to kind of go through in his head. It's like, okay, this seems a little strange, but animals come in all sorts of varieties, and he's just trying to kind of say it's okay, and actually having this with him may help with intimidation or something like that should the need arise.
Should the need arise, sure. All right. So, Aram and Vero, you both have doors ahead of you. Like, Aram beyond the barrels, like you see a door on the other end of this far tunnel. And then Vero, same deal. You've got another door um, ahead of you in the tunnel. I think, yeah, I think the pattern on the door resembles a mark, but perhaps it's varied in some way, like the doors that Serge has been looking at as he passes through his tunnel, his hallway. What do you two do?
Well, before doing any of going through the door,
Hmm.
seeing the scales on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
I think Vero's gonna take the rag he had been holding in front of his mouth in the blacksmith shop,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like flip it inside out and see if he can like pry loose one of the scales of the wall.
Okay.
This is very unusual. And before, when it was like kind of nasty and acidic, he didn't want to touch it. But like, he's never seen anything like this, and it's a bunch of scales. He thinks he can probably like pry one off if he needs to use his dagger to help. He'll probably do that, but just to as a souvenir.
Right. Well, it's not just a small scale. I mean, we're talking one that is spade, like, the head of a spade, like a spade sized scale that are
Well,
on the
okay,
walls.
that's that's still stuff in a bag size, so that will
Yes.
not deter him. That would probably just like, I can get leverage with my dagger. It should be even easier now.
Right. What are you thinking as you're getting this scale? Do you think you're any closer to finding the artifact that proves the king's true nature?
I'm not sure, but like if these walls have smoke or whatever emanating off of it, maybe if I can take it to Aram may be able to tell me what it is. It may be something valuable. That's kind of why he's trying not to touch it with his hands,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because for all he knows, this could be poisonous or what have you. And now that it's like all his nerves are calm, I think his confidence is higher. Maybe he probably when he was unnerved this entire time, but now he seems less unnerved and maybe more willing to take that risk.
Okay. Interesting. I think as you take this thing off, this scale off, and I'm debating whether to call it a true risk. Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, I'd just give it to me if it were me, I would just give it to
Of
me.
course you would. Of course you would.
Okay, so it's not gonna work out. Okay.
Well, I mean, you are pulling something from a living being.
I
So,
don't know that. If
or
someone's
you don't know
constructed a
that.
wall
Sure.
with
Sure.
scales, which is super
Sure.
odd, but
Sure. Okay. All right, so you know what? I'm gonna pull a risk roll because it's like, people ain't rolling enough yet. All right, so risk roll. Skill. I mean, you kind of got some stuff here that you can use. I mean, like, you can even say, like, parlay, like, foraging, hunting, that sort of thing, maybe.
yeah. I mean, removing descaling is clearly a skill that a hunter would have.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so, because we don't know what kind of creatures, like, exist in the forest of Caldor, so you might need that kind of skill, so that's fine. And then dark dive for a risk, because yes, you don't know the true danger yet, but I mean, like, it's
Okay.
risky to, I'm gonna say in this case, body. Okay, so
Okay. Is that
dark dive
something
for the
that?
risk. Yeah.
Okay.
So light dive for the skill, dark
Mm-hmm.
dive for the risk, and what could go wrong? Yeah, I think your tunnel could possibly have a reaction to you doing this. Because it's essentially like, pulling off something
I don't know why a
that
tunnel
could
would react.
sting.
That seems weird.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but you don't know that. Anyway, so I
Yeah.
mean, again, it's going to have a reaction to you, and it's not going to be pleasant for you.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say could go wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else that could go wrong in this case? No.
Not a better one than that.
This is inside out snake.
Mm. So to get the second light die, we go for a devil's bargain, and I already knew what my devil's bargain was going to be, which is when you pull off, well, no matter what, we'll just say that whether accidentally or because you succeeded, you find evidence that you will find evidence that what you seek is here in this place.
In this tunnel?
No, in the if you go through the door, it'll lead you, your tracking skill will help you realize that what is in this place going through the doors will lead you eventually to the artifact you seek. So you are truly being a treasure hunter in this case.
Okay.
Never mind all the strange shit that has happened so far from just the governor's keep. You just know.
I'm just all in now.
You're just all in now. Yes, exactly. So that's the devil's bargain. So no matter what, you're going to have this. You're going to find or feel that you will find the artifact or what you need here. Anybody else have a devil's bargain?
I had just an idea that the devil's bargain would be that in the process of prying this off, you didn't realize how sharp that edge of the scale was, and it ends up giving you a nasty cut on that kind of sharpened edge.
I like both of those.
And it is not unheard of, although I'm pretty sure Jason doesn't do this. It is not unheard of to take both devil's bargains, but you only get the one light die.
Oh man, I
Just saying.
Know which one. I don't know which one of those. I'm only going to take one, but I don't know. Both of those sound. I think I'm going to go with the nasty gash.
Okay.
Because, of course, I want to be dripping blood in a living tunnel.
Priceless. All right, so risk roll. You're going to do 2 light, 1 dark. All right.
All right. Oh, come on. I don't think I've succeeded a roll yet.
Okay.
Wait, I think I rolled 2 2s last time. No, but I rolled a 6 with a ruin die. So,
basically, the dark die determines that if it is higher than your ruin goes up by 1. So you are now up to a fork and 4.
Okay, so apparently I only roll 2 2s and then 4 or higher on a ruin every time. So
dark die.
Still a success. I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a complication. Let's see.
I mean, I would at least like to get a 1 or something. Just only 2s.
All right. So, so your ruin goes up to 4, and you now have a nasty gash because you have succeeded in prying this spade-sized scale off of the wall. All right. And I think the complication is...
So
that picture of the captain, of the former captain of the King's Guard that you knew, were you friends with him? Were you friends or were you rivals? Let me ask that first.
I think I would say they were friends. Because I don't think he would have went through all of this necessarily for a rival.
Okay.
I mean, there's multiple people who went missing, but I think, yes, he's here for the missing Kingsguard, but he didn't go into like esophagus cave for the Kingsguard. He went in there for his friend, the captain.
I'm gonna say that the complication is when you pull the scale off the wall. Underneath is something that shows you he was here. And he might still be here. In this massive tunnels. What do you see underneath the scale, like on the wall? Which strangely looks like musculature. What do you see on the wall that makes you think that your friend is here? Or was here?
Okay. It's not on the wall, but it's on the scale.
Okay.
The scale looks to have words written on it.
Okay.
And on like closer inspection and like rotating it just right, I realize actually is a name. And it's his name, along with several others that I don't recognize.
Right. Gotcha. All right. And seeing this, do you go through the door?
At the realization that I just pulled off a single scale that had multiple names of it about missing people, and then considering the number of scales that I see in this tunnel, yes.
Okay.
Quickly as possible.
All right, make it through the door. Aram. Yeah, you now have a snake friend. Do you go through the door?
Do I? And it has this mark on it, correct?
It does not have a mark on it, but strangely enough, if like, how to put this? If you're thinking in 3 dimensions, I'm going to say that maybe you come to the realization that your snake friend again, curling around your arm could resemble a spiral.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
yeah, so I think Aram,
but on the door itself, I mean, maybe you see something very similar to a mark, like a spiral, that could resemble something that Serge is seeing where he is. Just saying.
I think Aram holds up the snake, lets the snake perhaps smell the door, and sees if there's a reaction that the snake has when it is in front of the door.
Do you hold it up or do you hold it out to the door?
Yeah, I get it close to the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
As though it was I don't know about this snake, but like a sensor of some type, just trying to get like what is its reaction to the door.
I think as you hold it out to the door, I think it will undo itself from your arm, and then when you're looking at it, it'll make the symbol as it appears on the door in midair, and then crawl back on or wind itself back on your arm. Do you go through the door?
Yeah, I think I do.
All right. And Serge. Sorry for that roundabout way of getting back to you. Yeah, I mean, you have their picture folded up in your pocket, and you have your dripping ichor chalk, and you are still seeing a whole bunch of doors down this tunnel. Do you open any more of them, or do you see what's at the end of the tunnel, which again, this tunnel for you is winding. It's as if, like, with every undulation, it's revealing a new door with a variance of the pattern, with a variance of the mark.
Do I get the sense that the curves are getting tighter, as in I'm moving towards a center of something?
Mm-hmm.
Then absolutely, let's go.
Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, and I'm gonna say that as you're making your way, like almost letting the hallway determine, where you go, you're seeing like even crazier patterns of the variances of the mark, like in front of you on each of the doors that's revealed, is almost as if they are changing with the rhythmic undulation of the hall. And I don't know. Do you think that you're so engrossed with following the hall that you would not notice if doors behind you have opened for any reason?
Repeat the question. I think I would not notice. I'd be so enraptured with getting to the middle that I would not notice doors opening behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with seeing designs, well, I mean, that could actually kind of argue either way, that if I was to look back and be like, wait a second, that door was open. But I think it's more fun to say that at this point, Serge is probably enraptured and gonna chase the tail
Mm-hmm.
of this mystery.
Okay. I'm gonna say opening up behind you are the doors marked with the variants of the mark that each have seen. So Aram comes through one door, and maybe further down, closer behind you, Vero makes it out of his door. Vero with the scale, and Aram with the snake and the bone stylus. And I think you two will see each other ahead, as well as Serge making his way to what looks like a single door at the end of this undulating hallway. And we close out of ring 4 and enter into ring 5. I think as you are all passing the other doors and you see a final door ahead of you further down the hall, I think the other doors are starting to creak open. You may pass, you may look in, and you might see something that you wanted to see as you go down this hall. Vero. One of the doors opens up in front of you with a glow that you can't help but notice. And you hear, coming from the store, you hear what sounds like your friends' voices. The captain, and maybe some of the other people you knew that went missing. Do you look in?
Yeah. I think he would go to that door and look in. Like, I think if he heard the captain's voice, he may not necessarily go as cautiously. He may like just open as if he's going to like step in before. Because it depends on how far away he thinks he hears those voices. If they sound like they're in a distance, he'd probably just go open the door and go charge right on through. If he thinks he's hearing them on the other side of the door, he'd
Oh no, the
probably
door's
just go
open.
in.
The door is opening in front of you. Like you're going down the hallway, and then you see the
Oh,
door
directly
fly open, like
to one
it's on your
side.
right. Yeah, yeah. It's like it's on the right maybe, and then like the door itself is
Oh yeah,
flying open too, and you see the glow, and you hear your captain's voice, along with some of the
yeah.
others that were missing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he would turn the face in that direction.
I think you see them all around this table. They all look like they're holding mugs of some sort, like as if they're celebrating something. And then the captain will turn and see you and hold up his mug and say, Vero, we found it. It was a long journey to get here, but we found it. It's the artifact.
Oh well,
This will
first
prove.
Vero would stick his dagger away. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't want him to think.
Well, I mean, like, it kind of makes sense because, I mean, like, you don't know what's been in here, you know?
Right.
And, yeah. And I don't think he'll notice necessarily. He'll raise his mug to you and then just, like, say what he said, which is, they found it.
Found it, Captain. That's good news. Where is it? You'll just
Right.
walk into the room.
Absolutely. It's like, it's right here. Look. And on this table, you see the captain. You see your friends. On this table is the artifact. What does it look like? And actually, that's maybe like several of them. Not just one thing, but several things, especially put together, will give the whole picture that proves the king's true nature. What do you see?
I think it's several broken pieces of uh, uh I want to say it's several broken pieces of a mirror, and I'm not sure how mirrors would have been made at that point in time in the story, but it's probably not. It's probably like the obsidian glass mirror that needs to be uh, reassembled. It would show. So hopefully, the thought was that whatever it was would be able to show who the king was when their image was reflected in it.
And your captain is, yes, it was the hard road. We found these pieces. But, and he indicates like, one of your former companions. He says, we've read some of the lore, some of the story. The only thing that will bring these pieces together before we can get it out of here is blood. And he proceeds to give you one of the mugs that's on the table around the mirror shards. Aram, same thing happens to you. Maybe you've gotten a little bit further beyond Vero going into his door. But before you can get to Serge, a door on the left flies open, and you hear what sounds like burbling water. And a dim, light blue glow, as if you're seeing light coming through clear water. What do you do?
Aram pauses, looks at Serge, but pauses in front of that door. Before he looks, he probably takes in the sound first, right? Closes his eyes and kind of listens to, what is going through his mind is it's a fountain that he hears. And he shakes his head to kind of like make sure that he's back in reality, and makes a very quick glance over to inside the room. He's not going in the room, but he'll kind of glance from the hallway.
I think you will see not so close that you can get to it in a few steps, but not so far that you can't see the beauty that is this particular room. If you could rebuild Hisham's fountain, how many stories is it? Or I should say, how many levels is it? What is it? What is the design of it that makes you want to rebuild this? And what will it look like in all of its glory?
Yeah, it's a large, rather magnificent fountain. It goes up 5 levels. And the thing that makes it really spectacular is, it's the sound of that water. It's more than just water falling. There's almost like a musical chime effect that this fountain has. And it's magical, right? That kind of tingling sound that the water makes.
The thermal sight is starting to take over your vision again. Like where you see figures approaching near you, but not getting close. They're stopping before they get too close for your comfort. And you can probably dimly register that the snake around your forearm is licking your hand now, almost comfortingly, as if it can see what you see. And the figure, which just looks like a silhouetted glow at this point, speaks to you and says, "This can happen. This is happening. Look, you can see the artisans painting it. You can see the builders adding to it. You can, I mean, like, you literally can see, like, the tile work. The figures are coming out as thermal glows, but, like, you can still see the resplendence of the fountain and the detailing around it as people are painting it and people are adding tiles or bricks to around it, whatever is happening. But this thermal figure turns to you and says, "This can all be done. This can all be maintained. But it needs blood to do so." And Serge, before you get to the last door that's at the end of the tunnel, the hallway, I think another door near you, slightly in front of you, on one of the sides. You can't quite tell because the hallway's starting to move and twist a little bit. The door flies open, and I think you get a whiff of what smells like a garden.
Okay. I guess I'll go in and check out this curious smell.
You have the sense of green here. Like an overgrown garden. Looks at first glance messy, untended. But I think you're seeing the design of wildness, patterned chaos. And as you look further in, you can see the pale figures, not moving, of statuary. And I think you catch the whiff of a familiar scent. It is your mother.
Is she working on a statue, or is she?
You see someone further in the garden, amongst the wildness and the statuary. Maybe you hear some familiar sounds of her working.
Suppose I'll go up to her and, "Mother, it's strange to see you here."
Why?
Well, I should be at least a city away. But then I don't know where I've been going. I've been following a hallway that goes in a spiral.
Maybe you've just been finding portals. You've been finding the gateways. You've been opening up your mind to all the different possibilities.
Of course.
So many possibilities. Look what I've done. What do you see in her? What do you see in her latest work?
It's a humanoid sculpture, very lifelike, minus the fact that their arms are like way, way, way too long. You know, every artist decides to change the work. But it was once a soldier, a very Perseus-like figure. And minus the fact that their arms are far, far, far too long, they are still kind of in that like one leg lifted pose that they were in the midst of an attack against her. Very Grecian hero-esque. And I think the face is like, my mother is not so petty as to, just give somebody a mustache. But I think she did take some artistic liberties in reconfiguring their face to be a little more monstrous.
Now, out of character, remind me again. Why do you want to destroy the work of Agino?
Because I think she's been doing this work under duress. I think he's been forcing her to do this work. And then claiming it as his own.
Oh, yes. And,
So, I mean, if I recognize this statue, or even if it's not one that I'm familiar with already, I think I'm going to go ahead and use a fault ritual on it and try and shatter it.
Okay. Alrighty. So, I mean, you're doing a ritual, so already a dark die.
Mm-hmm.
What is your skill or background and such that you are able to do this thing, to destroy
I would think
it?
crafting.
Cool. All right. So you would know the weakest point for sure.
Yeah.
Light die. What could go wrong? I would say, excuse me, that I think seeing your mother here and possibly letting emotions overcome you, I think you would end up aiming the fault in the wrong place, or something weird, because this place is weird, will go wrong, and the fault will affect not the statue, but something that will bring down this room. Like it's too much.
Absolutely. I love it.
Anybody else have a what could go wrong? If not, no big deal, because we still have the devil's bargain to offer.
I think what could go wrong is that you discover that the statue is maybe not an actual statue, and so you injure something as opposed to destroying a statue.
Okay. So for that second light die, devil's bargain, no matter what.
How about no matter what, you're not gonna be forgiven for the damage you caused to it, whether you destroy it or just mar it.
I think no matter what, I mean, maybe this is a little too easy, but I think no matter what, I think you'll find out that the price to free your mother will be blood. Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna go one light, one dark.
Okay.
We're just gonna see what happens.
Okay.
It's a 4 high dark. Cannot re-roll. Just a shame.
Okay. So matches your rune, so your rune doesn't go up. You
I
keep it
know.
together.
I'm sad
So-
about that too.
Yeah. So you succeed. Go ahead and tell me what this looks like with you doing the ritual. Like, what does your ritual look like? And what do you think happens to the statue?
So I think I have to feel the thing that I'm trying to shatter.
Mhm.
And so I think in this case, Serge, almost the way, an artist would appreciate a piece of artwork. His hands smoothly run over each, the surface. As if he really was in love with this piece. And then after a short period of time of that, his hand lingers on one spot near the solar plexus of this figure, and he balls his hand into a fist, and his pupils not dilate, his pupils change from circle to slit, and he pulls his hand back and punches the statue. We see spider web of cracks go out across it, and then it just kind of crumbles into hundreds of different little pieces with a little cloud of dust kind of.
And your mother looks at you. What am I going to do? I have to provide something for him to use.
Tell him the truth. Tell him that your rebellious son came in and destroyed it, as he will all of these works. Tell him that he is no longer safe. Tell him that I will hunt him to the very ends of the earth if I have to, and all of his hired bodyguards and all of his hired help will do him nothing. And the last statue, the last work of Agino that anyone will ever see is that of himself, reflected in the works that he would have others create of him.
She looks upset. And she looks about ready to break down and cry. But before she does, she gets this look on her face and looks up at you. If you go through the door, you can get to him immediately. But the door requires blood to open. Not your blood.
Not. I understand. Thank you, Mother. I'll take her, by the arms, give her a big hug, kiss on both cheeks. Thank you. I will do this. I promise you.
Her kiss on your cheeks is like butterflies. And go.
And that is the last I will probably see of my mother. But back through the doorway into the hallway we go.
Yep. I think, yeah. All the doors are open. And I think way down the hallway, which you might see like as the undulations like um, move and not shake, but shape the hallway. I think you'll see some of the paintings spill out. You'll see some of the hoard, the gold, like spill out from a door that you know left far behind. But then, yeah, I think Vero and Aram in your respective rooms, I think you'll see these, you know, these doors open, and you will see back out into the hallway. And I think you all know what the message is with requiring the price of blood. What do you want to do?
I think Vera will be questioning if there's so many people here. I don't know if he's completely clear that, I guess, can he assume that he knows the blood means the sacrifice and not
Yes.
just
Yeah. I mean, maybe like, even more clear. It's like, it's like it can't be one of you that's trying to bring the mirror back. It's got to be somebody unknown to bring the true nature of the king out. And it's the blood that will be the glue that brings the pieces back together. You just need to get well, willing or unwilling.
well, I think I know what I need to do then. And
Your
I
cap.
don't, did the mug have alcohol in it or what was in it?
It tasted like your favorite drink,
Okay.
but
Well, that would be how he accented the point. Uh, I think I know what I need to do then, and takes a swig of,
mm,
more than a swig, because he knows what he has to do.
yeah,
Right? Drinks it all down.
yeah. I think as you're, I think as you're leaving though, you might catch a glimpse of green ichor, or the same color of ichor that was in the eggshells long ago, rimming everybody's cup, including yours. Aram, what do you do once this figure tells you that the price for maintaining and building Hisham's fountain is blood?
Think Aram says that's only to be expected. And he has that stylus and he says blood and bone. Blood and bone is required.
You see the figure switch back into like normal vision. It's twilight in this room, which is why you saw like the light blue shimmers of light through water. And this figure, even though obscured by a hood, you see the mouth, and the mouth smiles at you and says, "Yes, blood to keep it alive, and bone to rebuild it. Go."
Yeah, and he'll leave the room, probably gives the snake a little stroke, thinking we may both have a job to do. my friend.
I think you feel the snake's head like starting to nuzzle your hand as you make your way out of the room. So, what this means is you all find yourselves converging out into the hallway out of your respective doors. And I think you catch sight of each other. What would you like to do? Beyond you three, at the very end of this hall, at the very end of the undulations, is what could be termed as the last door. There is a mark on it, but this mark looks a little bit different than everything else, even the ones that are variants of the pattern. You can't quite see it yet, any of you, but you know, you sense, that going through this door will ensure that what you need to do will happen. But the door needs to be fed with blood, possibly bone. What do you all do? If this comes down to, I'm going to say it, like, to enact literally PC against PC, because this does happen, play to lose in this game, yeah? It is a contest roll. So whatever you decide to do, we set up stakes. So essentially, if you're out to murder each other, essentially for the blood to fuel your drive, to fuel opening up the door in your favor, I think like we have to set up stakes, like what's going to happen. All right. So under contest roll, when treasure hunters act against each other, compete, or want to inflict harm on each other, first agree what's at stake. All right. So what's at stake is, of course, killing each other to again get enough blood to enact opening up the door and completing the ritual. All right. I would imagine. And you could specify how you're planning on doing that. And then we would build the rolls. The roll for a contest roll is different, a little different than doing a risk roll. Okay? So just tell me what you want to do, and then we'll enact it from there.
It's looking like a Mexican standoff. So I think, at some point we just gotta draw our knives and weapons. And does everybody else agree?
Well, I know what Vero would be doing at this point, and it wouldn't be like necessarily a Mexican standoff. It would be, well, Aram's here to provide information, so I'm just going to ask him, what does he make of this scale, and then hopefully use that as a distraction to stab him. Or I think he's waffling over whether he's going to stab him or talk to him about stabbing Serge. And I think it really comes down to opportunity more than anything else.
Oh, man.
It's like, what do you make of this? And if he doesn't see an opportunity, he'll probably whisper something about one of us must die. It doesn't have to be either of us. Or you got really into it, and I'm like, attack of opportunity, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure what other people would be thinking, but that would be Vero's thinking in this situation.
So do you think you would reach out to Aram first?
Yes.
Okay. Aram, what do you what do you think you'd be doing, like coming out of the room?
I think Aram, I mean, for Aram, I think it is a Mexican standoff. I think Aram is wanting to, um, wanting to keep uh both of his companions, in sight and right, observing them.
Sure.
And while doing that, is gonna, if possible, inch his way towards that door that needs the blood,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right. Okay.
If Vero asks that question about what do I make of that scale, I think he says probably having his companion snake to demonstrate. Just he's not going to look at the scale, but just say, well, um, it's it seems to indicate what snakes know, which is that in order to be reborn, you have to shed the dead skin.
Okay.
Out of death comes renewal.
Boy.
I
Serge.
I would when Vero starts getting close to Aram, or I might even wait until they're really close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Serge has charm and trickery and performance as his occupational skills, and I think he's going to shout out, "Look out, he's trying to kill you."
Okay.
Just in their
So-
general direction.
Oh my God. All right. So hold in your mind what you're planning on doing, because we're gonna do a contest roll among all three of you. I think that's the beauty of doing this, is because like with trophy and you do a contest roll, everybody can go at once. It's great. So the way you build I can't speak. The way you build a roll is whatever you're planning on doing. One light die if your occupation or background gives you an advantage. And that obviously that includes just the skills because of your occupation or background. So count on your fingers. It's like if one light die, counts for you for what you're planning on doing, then yes. So in Serge's case, yes. So one light die. Okay. Aram, you're planning on using which of your skills do you think you can use in this case?
Well, I think the obvious one would be strength.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. And Vero.
I was thinking hunting. That's why I was trying to set up the trap.
Perfect. No. This is fine. This is we're slowly building this because it takes a little bit. Okay, give me a second. All right. So contest roll. One light die if your occupation or background. Blah 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 skills. All right, great. And then one light die for each mark of ruin you currently have. So Serge, you would add 4 light die to your light die. Aram, you would add 3 light die for a total of 4. Vero, you would add 4 light die, so you have a total of 5 light die to play with. Okay. Now comes the fun part. Take 1 dark die if the contest is inherently dangerous. Heck yes, for all of y'all. Okay. And now, and you don't tell each other how much you're planning on adding. You just take a guess. Just add as many dark die as you want to this. So, Serge, you would start off with 5 light die and however many dark die that you want to do in total. Aram, you would do 4 light die and then however many dark die you want to add. And then Vero, you would have 5 light die and then however many dark die you want to use. Okay?
But just so you know, ruin increases on this are on 1s on dark die.
Yeah. So we're counting down successes. So however many, we look at the 6s. I mean, whoever, if there's a tie on the 6s, then we go back down to 5s to see if there's, any amount that beats the others. and continually until we find a winner. And again, as Kevin said, if you get ones on dark die, that adds to your ruin, and if you get to 6 ruin, you are lost. Okay, so hold on a second. Let me just make sure, like, I double checked everything. God. Yeah. So for each dark die that comes up as 1, mark 1 ruin to see,
So
whether
what
you are.
happens if it just ends up being a tie?
For which? Ends up
Like,
being
are the black die also counted towards the
yes. So like we're
successes?
looking
Oh,
at all
okay.
the we're looking at all the 6s to start. Okay, so we count off.
Oh, okay. So
You
black
know,
die count
yeah.
here.
Yeah, so again, like any 6s, like we look for those and like we count those off, and then and so on and so forth. So again, think in your head, okay? So plug in your numbers under contest roll, all right?
Hmm.
So Serge 5 light, however many dark, Aram 4 light, however many dark, Vero 5 light, however many dark, all right? Don't hit roll yet. Just plug in your numbers, let me know when you're ready. All right. And hit roll.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
The pressure. Oh shit. Okay.
Boo.
Okay. Holy cow. Aram didn't go up any. All right. Ruin went up by 1, so that's a 5. All right. Okay. Serge went up by 3. Oh my god. All right. So Serge.
It's 1 in 6 chance. I figured 12 dice would be,
Yeah. Well, let's see. Hold on. Let me just count the 5s. So got 4 5s. And yeah. So you win, but you also lost because you're 7 ruin. Holy shit.
Yep.
So Surge won the contest roll with 4 5s, but then is lost because hitting 7 ruin. Vero, you got the next best, so
I have 5 ruin.
yes, you have 5 ruin. Still okay, kind of, sort of, maybe. And
I
then
mean,
Aram
except for I'm
doesn't have.
dead.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so like Aram lost, but like isn't ruined. So what this means for interpretation is we now go shifting into the end. And this could either be done either as like the end and then epilogues, or just straight epilogues. So it could be fun to see exactly what's happening in this moment, So
Hmm.
Serge would explain how he wins, but then is lost to the spiral, to the forest. And then Vero, yeah, you've lost. Aram, you've lost. Oh my god. Holy crap. Mm. So I'm going to say that Vero. However we want to interpret this, guys. Because Vero would be the runner up, not lost to the forest, but yet could still be,
I think Vero kills Aram,
yeah,
Surge kills Vero, but
yeah,
in going through the door, using their blood on it is lost to the forest.
yeah. So let's see this happen. All right. So Vero, you go up to Aram. You probably hear Serge say what he says.
Mm.
And then Aram, you're going up against Vero, but Vero wins. Go ahead and say how this happens. Aram, what are you doing? And then Vero, how do you overwhelm him?
Well, if we could, what is it okay for Vero to explain how he ends up defeating Aram, and then have me explain what my dying breath is?
Sure.
Okay. I think when Vero was approaching Aram and Serge yells out, "I'm like he's going to kill you." Vero takes that opportunity to throw the scale at Aram, and in doing so, draws the dagger and throws it right behind it. And so the scale, he kind of lifts his arms up to knock away the scale, and then he just throws the dagger into his belly. And I think at that point he goes for his sword, and obviously does not get it out fast enough, but he goes for his sword to now have to deal with the only remaining person.
Yeah, and I think as Aram is now bleeding out, I think he's in pain, but he starts to smile and says, my blood will not be in vain. And I am the martyr that was required. And kind of falls over, and you probably see that snake with the little tongue like in the pool of blood. Now that snake is taking a little taste of the blood.
So it stinks like a cat.
All right, and then Serge, how do you take out Vero?
I think what Vero sees is, the beauty of his handiwork. This pool of blood and Aram giving out his final words, and then he just feels a sharp pain in his, under his rib cage from behind. And I think Serge takes off his headscarf or whatever he was wearing, and so all of the little snakes in his hair get themselves a little bite of Vero's neck and shoulders and face, and begin to petrify Vero. And with that done, we pick up Aram's body. We use it, the blood and viscera on the door to open it, and proceed to step through. But I think the thing that steps through is not Serge. I think his lower body has become more snake-like. So more perhaps like a lamia. Lower body of a serpent, upper body of a human, still has the snake hair, but his eyes are now permanently reptilian and vertically slitted, and he has like gone full transformation into his curse. And then poor Agino now has that to contest with, so screw him.
So ends Ring 5. And we do epilogues in Trophy Dark. So at this point, we're going to take a very quick break, so like 3 minutes, because I need to take a bio break. And then when we come back, I'd like to hear the epilogues. Epilogues are where you can talk about or just narrate what's going on with the world, even without your character in it. Don't implicate like another character. And this is just about your character, like, what happens if you've survived but got ruined, if you've died, but then, like, what happens, somewhere in the future, you know, regarding your character, like, how does the world go on without you? All right. So we'll be back in like at the 18 mark, and then I'll see you in 3 minutes. All right. So now we have epilogues. Again, don't implicate another character, and this is about the world without you in it at any point in the future. And then, if you have survived, say, again, in a point in the future, how you've changed because of the forest, because of the mark. Whoever wants to go first.
Well, there's really no way Vero could have survived being petrified. It's really hard to shrug that off. So he most certainly did not survive. But because he did not survive, the king continued his, I guess, reign of tyranny. And so likely the world became a much darker place as he ever had become of him continued to get worse and continued to be emboldened by having no one to step in to stop him.
While the king is celebrating some either, birth of a child or whatever it is, a victory that he, led about, and the world is blind to their true nature. In one of the posh districts of the city, there's an art exhibit. It's the famous Agino, the debauched painter, as they call him, with his latest, and they say it's going to be his final sculpture ever, his magnum opus, his greatest work. And as people come in to see this great work of Agino, the piece is advertised as Agino, a self-portrait. And it is, in fact, a sculpture of Agino himself, looking very lifelike, except his arms are too long, and they not only wrap around himself one full rotation, but the hands come back and have been positioned in such a way that he is actually choking himself. And his face has been given some artistic liberty. Many people who say they actually have seen Agino, they haven't, but many people who say they have would say that the face looks a lot more ugly than they remember it looking, a lot more monstrous. As for the rest of Agino's works, one by one, they seem to be vanishing from the world, and no one really knows why.
And, I don't think people, really hear of Aram and his efforts to restore Hisham's fountain. I think Hisham's fountain is kind of restored, but it's it's a paltry it's something that gets kind of put together. It is not the fountain that Aram had in mind. And it does not receive the respect and reverence that people that Aram would have hoped people would have for it. And actually, it's kind of shunned. It doesn't sound musical. And when people kind of look at the fountain and that kind of pool, the water eddies down, and people aren't really quite sure why they get creeped out by it, but why they avoid it. They just kind of get this bad feeling. But you can see in that kind of the way that the water comes down and eddies in that pool, it has these little spiral forms that are kind of formed by the water, right, as it eddies down off the fountain. So people aren't really sure about why they would be unhinged by the fountain, but of course the theater audience seeing the spiraling water, that they would know what that means.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. And thus ends our two-shot of the spiral. Oh my gosh. Stars and wishes, please, because everybody did such a wonderful job. I mean, I'm just curious to hear what really struck them the most about this game, especially if this is your first time playing any trophy whatsoever. I would really love to hear, like, what you thought, good or bad. Hopefully, more good. And yeah, wishes, like, what you'd like to do. Like, if you want to do this again, like, like more Trophy Dark incursions, or try Trophy Gold, or, just, yeah, whatever your wishes are. Sure.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay.
While he's gone, my big star was his moment where the person on the other side of the door is crying out for help. He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna close that door and walk away."
Yes, oh god. And I never brought Loraire back, which is terrible of me, because it's like usually I like doing callbacks, but yeah, that was a really good.
I was dying. Thank God I had my mic muted, because I might have made a noise that would have been embarrassing.
Oh man.
I just for some other stars, I really liked I really the whatever shoved me into ring 4 early, because I've played trophy before, like telling a player that's familiar with the structure, oh yeah, you're in ring 4. That was a fun moment. And ring 4 was very moody. I really liked the way that it was set up that way. But yeah. Jonn, since you're back, I said my star of the session tonight was when you heard somebody on the other side of the door crying for help and decided to just close the door and walk away. I thought that was amazing. Exactly my reaction. I was dying.
Yeah.
Terrible, but so's trophy. It's good to be bad.
Terrible people doing terrible things for maybe good reasons. Maybe
to them,
maybe.
good reasons to them. Yes, of
Right.
of course.
I also just like that in the epilogue, acknowledging that the world is a darker place. In Trophy Dark, we often play unredemptive, monstrous, evil characters, but in the context of a larger story, yeah, you can have noble intentions, and if you're not the person who survives at the end of a Trophy Dark incursion, you can suddenly like pivot that really hard and go, if this story had ended up differently, maybe it would have been, but it wasn't.
It wasn't meant to be.
Do you have any wishes, Kevin?
Wishes are hard and on final sessions. I guess, thinking of it off the top of my head, how a few trophy dark incursions have like gold mirrors, the same location, Huntsman's Manor and Huntsman's Feast, the B ones that Michael Van Vliet wrote. I'm curious to see like what a gold version of this would look like, because of the implications of physics defying travel. Yeah, it's my wish. I wish I could see it.
Okay.
Write it, Jesse Ross.
That's a good wish.
I guess I'll go. Stars, having ultra clingy companion suddenly out of nowhere after establishing my character may be a prude was super fun. Um, uh, I really liked the description and the whole scene for that creepy statue with the two long arms. I thought that was a really good descriptive moment, and Serge's little monologue added to that. I really like that. The lizard in Aram, suddenly I have made a creepy lizard friend. That and really finding out what Aram was here for, it was just like he just wanted the place he's from to have something nice. It's just like, oh my God, that's all he wanted. No, he just wanted the place he's from to have something nice, and it's just like, oh, that hurts. It hurts more. It's like I imagine that was part of the reason Vero ended up dying, because he just like has had that moment of I am a monster, and he hesitated, got stabbed in the ribs. That's how I envision. I love that. Yeah, and so yeah, closing the door. This is like, this is a problem, but I'm not dealing with it today. Not today, my friend. So yeah, I mean, this is being my first experience. I really did enjoy playing it, and I really did the whole world building part aspect of it, because you're kind of building the world as you're like, descending in the darkness. And so I enjoyed that in the game. So I definitely would play more of this. And now my goal is, I think my wish is to now try Trophy Gold to see how it's different. So that's my biggest wish.
Well, Trophy Gold is definitely usually not so bleak as this. I mean, Trophy Gold, you have a little more possibility of better outcomes. Not necessarily. I mean, it can break different ways.
The possibility exists.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed this. I liked the way that everybody was incorporating their drives into the story, and those in Trophy Dark, right? Those little backstory elements are suggestive, but you really have to kind of work on, like, nobody knows at the beginning like what exactly it means, right, to have this artist rival, or those things. But I like the way that everybody was kind of exploring those items to give them more substance. I liked the way that it all kind of broke into three different stories, but then coming back for the Mexican standoff at the end. I had never done the the contest role, so that was kind of interesting to see the. I don't think I have seen the contest role per se kind of play out, or at least not. Maybe in a one-on-one situation, not with all three at the same time, and yeah, it was good. And the epilogues were great. I like the kind of summing up epilogues as were you know in they were sufficient. They were very atmospheric in keeping with like where that whole narrative was going, and yeah, it was good.
Definite stars to all of the epilogues, because, I mean, followed through with the promise of being doomed for the most part. And yeah, we saw them, or saw the world in that the world is terrible way. Yes, yes, it is. But I mean, again, Trophy Dark is a game about playing to lose. And as one person described it after playing it for his first time, he said, it's like failing with style. All right, yeah, pretty much. um, and yeah, I mean, like, I just really enjoyed like all the directions you guys took. And as I said last time, I mean, like, I really had fun having you guys split. I mean, because eventually you would have done so anyway, because um, usually that's how it works with getting into the later rings. But I was kind of happy, but also like, fearful about you guys splitting up so soon. Usually it's like around after ring 3, but it's okay. I mean, like, I really enjoyed the challenge of like, watching you pivot and then like, adjusting to you guys. And that was really fun. So, yeah, I mean, if you read through the incursion, I think you'll find that I've adjusted a few things to make it work and be kind of circular, to come round upon itself again, to try to keep that vibe going, to keep that theme going, with the serpent, and the Ouroboros. So, again, I really enjoyed everybody's characters, especially at the standoff at the end. I mean, like, I think that was the first time I'd ever done that as well. But I mean, like, contest role doesn't say it's like it's limited to just, one-on-one. I mean, it could be the whole group if that's what it came down to. Like, if you were all gunning for the door or whatever the heck the end game was, then it would have worked out. And the narrations for doing so, was for the interpretation of the roles, was absolutely wonderful. So thank you guys so much for this. I mean, like, wishes is to do more trophy, because I want to get better at running trophy, as well as like, hopefully eventually being brave enough to run a trophy gold campaign myself. I've only played it so far a few times, and it's like I'm still not comfortable with the more mechanics that are added for the gold system. But Trophy Dark, I'll run in a heartbeat. It's just a matter of picking an incursion that doesn't step on anybody's lines or fails, which God knows. There's quite a few that I'll be like, oh, I don't know about this. So yeah, I mean, like, I hope for those of you that haven't done a lot of trophy, or this is your first game of trophy, I hope you investigate more. It's available on Drive-Thru RPG for sure, as a PDF. And yeah, there's so many incursions listed in the book. I mean, if you literally go to the book, the first few pages, I'm gonna say, let's see, Player's Guide goes up to 13, Game Master's Guide goes from pretty much 22 to 40, and then all the rest of the book, through page like, I don't know, 175 is all incursions. So there's a ton of different scenarios in here, and like, just go grab the book, take a read on it. And just as a bonus, if you want to go look up the spiral yourself, the incursion, and see how much I messed up. So, have fun with it, please.
Yeah.
Please do.
I thought you did a very good job. I enjoyed it. It felt dark and brooding. I mean, I don't know how you could mess up. If that is messing up, then okay, that you you messed up well within acceptable parameters.
Yay!
So
No, the vibe is very important. So I'm glad that I'm glad that I hit the vibe at least. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's I'm not gonna say very structured. It's structured enough to give you a bunch of prompts to use, and then see how the players will react to them and respond. But I mean, you just never know. I mean, and this is why each of the incursions is incredibly playable, different each time, no matter how many times that you would run one.
Yeah, a single different answer could change everything that happens after it.
Exactly. I mean, my playthrough with my first time playing Trophy is not exactly how it turned out for everybody else whose incursion, the Flocculent Cathedral, worked out when I ran it. So I mean, it's amazing to see how many different ways and even more varied ways that incursions can come out, regardless of whether it's dark or gold. So I'm just like, wow. Such a great job, guys. Thank you so much. I mean, thank you for joining me on this incursion that I've never played before.
I appreciate you putting this game together just because I was like, I've never played it. And you're like, oh, we need to fix that. And so that was really amazing. And I truly appreciate that.
You're very welcome. I mean, I want to catch more people with it. It's like, you haven't played Trophy? Oh, well, let me help you with that. So,
Yeah.
and thank you, Robbie, for joining us. It's
No, it was wonderful to have that opportunity. I'm glad that I caught the need for players and notice that you put up. So it's good that it worked out.
Yeah, I hope to have more Trophy available, not only on my server but also on Open Hearth as well. So hopefully, I just need 24 more hours in the week that don't need eating or sleeping involved, and then I will be golden, because then I'll have all the time to game. How many more games is that? 5 extra games? Sure, I can do that. Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah, because I had one of my friends is like, I want to play Trophy Dark. I was just like, I'm sorry, there's a lot of people, even with several people dropping on that waiting list was like, wow, you had another table worth of people who were interested.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, I hope to offer, offer more. And it's not even just me. I mean, Open Hearth, other people are offering different Trophy Dark incursions, not even just the ones in the book, but also other Trophy Dark incursions that have been written and published on Itch. Go on Itch and just type in Trophy Dark. You'll see a whole bunch of them, available.
Yeah.
All right.
I know right now my goal is to play the original version of games, because I've played all these hacks of games that I've never played the original version of. I've only played hacks of Belonging Beyond Belonging. I've never played the original game. I don't. There was I've not played Brindlewood Bay. I played mini hacks, but I've not played the original game. There's so many different games where I've played dozens of hacks, but I've never actually played the original game.
Jonn, what are you doing on every other Tuesday?
Tuesday is the day I am responsible for taking my kids to karate, so it depends on what time. But right now, Tuesday is not the best day for me at in the evenings, especially.
Yeah, no, I hear that. So,
yeah,
just a thought, but that's a
I mean, unless I could play sitting in my car on my phone, I cannot get away with it.
Oh, I hear you. Well, I mean, again, that's a pretty long time to be sitting in your car. Ugh, for sure.
Right, because I was just like, yeah, I'm either going to be sitting inside of karate next to people role playing, which is going to be super off-putting for everyone around me, or I'm going to have to sit in my car. in 90-degree weather trying to like role play on my cell phone, with my windows down, with everybody walking around, walking past, being like, what the hell is going on here?
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so nah, it would, unfortunately.
Okay. Alrighty. Well,
I appreciate the almost offer.
almost offered. Okay.
I would have taken it if I could.
I know. But anyway, I'm wishing you all, all of y'all happy gaming for all the games coming up for you.
Mhm.
And yeah.
I'm in another game that's based on a loop, a bor I can't even say the word now. Ouroboros.
Ouroboros? Okay.
And so having two games, that means effectively I started two games the same week that had a similar theme of being a circle. So that's kind of cool.
Interesting.
Hmm.
That could be important later, who knows?
Hmm.
Mhm.
I probably could use any. Like, I am of the habit of I can just take something from one game and use it in another game, and they don't know, and I'm like a genius because I came up with this brilliant thing that 5 people put together. Like, yes, I am amazing GM. Yes, I am. This
I mean,
brilliant story. All me.
it's all about being reused. Absolutely, for
Right.
sure. Recycle
Yep.
ideas. Absolutely.
Hmm.
All right.
Well,
Thank you guys again. Have a wonderful evening. I will hope to see you again for future games very, very soon. Happy gaming to you all right? Thank you again so
all
much for
right.
joining me on this incursion.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you for running it.
All right.
Bye bye.
Bye,
Y'all have
guys.
a good rest of the evening.
You too.
You too.